Hello, U.S. History. Welcome to another Varela's videos. So we are now moving into Unit 4, which is going to be our last unit of this first semester. So if you're looking at Unit 4 in your notebook, go ahead and start a new page, or maybe draw a line, or write something down so you know that this is where Unit 4 begins. And our focus today is going to be on roots of American imperialism. So in this time period, towards the end of the 1800s and early 1900s, the United States is going to start to acquire overseas colonies just like European powers have done. So let's start. And what we're going to do is actually start with two important definitions. These two definitions are going to be on your test. So the first definition is the word isolationism. And this has kind of been what President Washington had asked for, just to kind of remain sort of isolated here in our part of the world. We're not going to get involved with European affairs. So here's a good definition: policy of remaining apart from the affairs or interests of other groups. And in this case, think of the United States not wanting to get involved in Europe's business because we don't want Europe to get involved in our business. And that's kind of like what we've been doing. But enter the end of the 1800s. Imperialism kind of starts to catch on here in the United States. And here's a really good definition. I promise this will be on your Unit 4 test. For imperialism, a policy by which stronger nations extend their political, military, and economic control over weaker territories. So what we're going to be seeing here is basically the United States kind of taking over other countries around the world. And some of those countries are still territories today in the United States. And we definitely sort of exude our influence. We do have a military presence there. And sometimes these countries don't always want us there. So I'm going to show you a map on the next slide to kind of show you an idea of how far around the world we actually will travel. So here you see the United States in pink right over here. And basically we're looking at, that's our continental, what is today 48 states. We purchase Alaska actually from Russia in 1867. And this, you can see this is Russia right here. So it really is very close. And look at how large Alaska is. It is a huge piece of land. All of these islands here throughout the Pacific Ocean are going to be, as you can see, Hawaii is right here, are going to be other additional areas / colonies that we acquire. Hawaii will be annexed by the United States in 1898. Not necessarily with their cooperation fully. Some of them did not want us to acquire them. We'll read about that in our textbook this unit. Here is Guam. We're going to learn about that with the Spanish-American War in your next notes. And then here's the Philippine Islands. Obviously, you see Japan, Korea, and China over here. But the Philippines also is going to be an interesting story because this is a Spanish colony that we will eventually acquire also in the Spanish-American War. But you can see our focus has been around the Pacific Ocean. Puerto Rico is over here in the Caribbean, the Virgin Islands. This is Cuba right here. So you can see that we're not necessarily going into Africa or Australia, but we definitely have a hand in colonizing many places throughout the Pacific. This will also come back to be important when we talk about World War II next semester. Okay, so a couple definitions I want you to also remember is part of the reason why we're doing this. We're following what's become known as extractive economies. So this idea is when an imperial or home country, in this case the United States, will remove raw materials from the colony and ship them home, back to the United States. So we have tons of factories in the US, but we're running a little short on certain raw materials, things like rubber, for example. So we're trying to find places where we can get this and then use this raw material in our factories. European powers have been doing this for about 300 years. So we're a little late to the game on that. But now the US also is seeing not just the need for raw materials, but we also have extra stuff, a surplus of goods. And we're thinking we might not only want raw materials from these colonies, but maybe we can also use these colonies as a marketplace to sell our goods. We can take raw materials from these colonies, use them in our factories, create manufactured goods or finished goods, and then sell those same products back to our colonies. Genius, right? So, following that plan is known as an extractive economy. That term will also be on your test. So, pay attention to this definition right here. Also, reasons why we want to have overseas colonies. This man here is Admiral Alfred T. Mahan, and he kind of becomes the voice for increasing our military strength. And this is one of those stories where it's almost like what comes first, the chicken or the egg? He feels that to be a great nation, the United States needs a great military. And I don't disagree. I think having a strong military is very important. So, what he is going to ask for is that we take some of our ships and update them. And he is going to help create the plan to build these new steel plated, steam powered battleships. And the idea being that these will hold up better than iron, that they can withstand an attack. But part of the reason why this is interesting is because if we have these overseas colonies, we need to protect them. So we have to have a strong military. But then does that mean if we did not have these overseas colonies, we would not have to have a strong military? I don't think that's what the argument is. So the point is, this is going to be another reason to build up our military. And I think it is important to have a strong military, but I want you to keep thinking as we go through these notes. Would Alfred T. Mahan be an imperialist or an isolationist? And in this case, he's definitely an imperialist. What are some other reasons? National superiority. The phrase social Darwinism has come up a couple times in our class, so I want to repeat it. And if you don't remember it, here's your definition. Social Darwinism is that idea of taking Charles Darwin's ideas of natural selection and almost misapplying them. So basically, it says here certain races and nations feel superior to others and are destined to rule over inferior peoples and cultures. So you can't really have colonies unless you somewhat believe in social Darwinism, that your race, your country is better, and therefore you can take over. And I feel like this will especially be true when we talk about the Philippines, because the Philippines is going to feel like they are free from the Spanish finally, only to find out they're going to be put under the control of the United States. And that is not what they want. And when the Philippines asks for their freedom, they're going to be told that they are not ready for self-government yet. Well, that's nice of us to tell them that. This idea of social Darwinism does also kind of tie back into manifest destiny, that Americans believe their institutions are the strongest and therefore the best and should be spread as far as they can. So, two names I want you to remember. Frederick Jackson Turner, he's an American historian who is going to feel that in order to make America the greatest country on the planet, we have to continue manifest destiny. It's almost like take manifest destiny and push it overseas and carry it over to other places. This will make us a great nation. And there's another voice named Josiah Strong, who is a very sort of famous at the time preacher who is going to feel that it's our duty to spread Christianity, that we should spread Christianity and create these Christian empires overseas. So I feel like when we talk about expansion, we've talked about stronger military, we've talked about economics, but here this idea of sort of spreading American culture and national superiority is really important. So let's tie it all together. 3 reasons for U.S. imperialism. This looks like a really great possible short answer question on your test when we eventually finish Unit 4. And look at that, it already has 3 reasons listed. Remember this question, it will be on your test. For national superiority, we're going to continue the ideas and manifest destiny. We're going to want to spread American ideals and culture. That's definitely one reason why we want to have overseas colonies. And when you see the word imperialism, think overseas colonies. Second reason, our increased military strength, that we need to have a strong navy to protect our overseas markets and our colonies. And we want to create a Christian empire and basically take our Christianity and spread it to other parts of the world. And why do we think we can do this? It's because of social Darwinism, because we feel that we are superior to these cultures and it's our duty to bring them Christianity or ensure that they have Christianity. Okay, I'm going to stop our notes here. So this is the roots of imperialism. Next notes will be the Spanish-American War. Hope you took some good notes. Lots of test questions here.